Hi Flosstube! Welcome to my new Flosstube channel. I am Sarah and this is my new channel, the Rocking Chair Stitcher. I love rocking chairs, had a little bit of an obsession, so I thought it would be a good name choice for my channel, seeing as I sit in rocking chairs to stitch a lot. We have a rocking chair for every person in our family, as well as a couple extra, and I'm always on the lookout for them when I thrift or yard sale. So that's why I chose the Rocking Chair Stitcher as my name. I started cross stitching in 2021 in the fall, and I kind of just accidentally stumbled onto cross stitching. Like, I've seen it before. I actually already watched my friend Darlene on her channel for her Flosstube, but I don't think I had ever cross stitched. Actually, maybe I hadn't seen her channel yet. I would have to go back and check that. But yeah, so I already knew of cross stitching, of course, but I didn't cross stitch. And I was out thrifting one day and I came across this little cross stitch kit for a sock monkey. And I mean, it was tiny, like a little tiny oval frame, like one of those little plastic ones. It was probably from the like 80s or 90s, I'm guessing. It was like some random brand, definitely not DMZ floss. And I thought, oh, my friend loves sock monkeys and makes them, like real sock monkeys. So I thought, oh, okay, maybe I'll just stitch that for her for Christmas. So I got that little kit, and that's what started me into cross stitch. I wanted to do something small to make sure I understood how to do it and not get in over my head really fast. I'm an avid crafter and can easily just jump into things. So I wanted to start cautiously. So I finished that one, and I'll put a little picture here on the screen so you can see it, because I no longer have it because it was a gift. And then I started into a really big project that was way too big a project for such a beginner. I didn't know anything about like different types of floss like DMC or anchor. I am still really slowly learning all of those things. There's like two kinds of crafters I find. There's like the people who like read a book on how to do it or watch videos, read the instructions, buy all of the supplies they're supposed to, and then start really cautiously and well planned. And then there's people like me who kind of just like, yeah, let's try it. So that's what I did. It got way over my head. I had this floss container with old paper bobbins with lots of floss on them, and they were sorted by color, and some had labels on them that didn't actually match what color they were when I started researching and realized, oh, like there's numbers for DMC floss or for anchor. And so I have no clue what colors I used in that project. It's not finished. It got really overwhelming and I put it aside and life got busy. And I wasn't stitching for a long time in between like fall of 2021 and now. So I will find a picture of that project because I don't even have it on my table here with all my other projects. But it was this pattern here, Sisters 3, which is by Paula Vaughn. And I just think it's beautiful, and my plan was to frame it up once I finished it and put it in our guest room, because I love that vintage look and just love the whole pattern, everything about it. So I don't have it in my current whips because it's kind of like hiding, because I'm like, I don't even know what colors I was using because I was just using scrap floss that I had. So I do think I'm going to pick it up at some point, and I'll keep you updated if I keep doing this Flosstube thing. I'll keep you updated if I pick it up and how it goes and how best I color match, because I have no clue what colors I was already using, and I definitely was not using the called for colors in the pattern. But that is kind of how I got started into cross stitch. I did start at some point, I'll have to look back when, but at some point I started watching my friend Darlene's Flosstube channel, Darlene Dion Designs. She's so fun. We're friends in real life before, you know, I ever watched her Flosstube. So I watched it 'cause she's my friend, and then I was like, oh, I want to cross stitch more. Like, I want to get going in this. So found the Flosstube community on YouTube, and then also found cross stitching on Instagram. And I am amazed at how kind everyone is there and how many patterns there are. How many patterns there are out there. The creativity that people have always amazes me, and it has inspired me to go and start making my own designs and playing with that, which that's a lot more work than I realized it was, but still really fun. So anyway, that's just a little about me. I am a new mom about a year ago. No, not about a year ago. A year ago today, we met our son. So we were in the process for several years to adopt through social services in Canada. We live on the East Coast in Nova Scotia. We're both transplants. My husband's originally from Ontario, and I am a transplant from the South in the States. I grew up in North Carolina and Virginia. So every once in a while you might hear a really funny sounding word come out of my mouth. The way I say it, or I say y'all, because I am still Southerner, even though I've mostly lost my accent. But yeah, so we adopted our son. It'll be a year ago, middle of September. He is the light of our world. He is a dream come true. We didn't know if we would ever be parents, so he is a gift. He'll be 3 soon, and he has Down syndrome. So it's been a whirlwind of learning about those needs that come with Down syndrome, but mostly it has just been a whirlwind of joy. And I have spent time with people with special needs and different abilities in the past, but I had no clue how beautiful Down syndrome actually is. So he is like the best thing ever. So we met him a year ago today, and the reason I actually started my Flosstube today, I think I was gonna cry, sorry. The reason I started my Flosstube today is my 30th birthday. And I know a lot of people turning a year older is hard for them, and especially sometimes those milestone birthdays like 30 and 40 and whatever. But I just feel it's a gift to get to grow older, and life is really fragile. So I just feel excited and inspired, and maybe that sounds so sappy, but that's just me. So be prepared for sappiness. But I just feel like today feels like a good day to start this. You can probably tell because I get talking and rambling. When I am nervous, I not sure what to say, and I'm really excited to do this because I want to be a part of the Flosstube community. I already watch a bunch of you guys, and I've heard a lot of Flosstubers say this when I'm watching them, especially because I like to go back and watch their first video, or just search for Flosstube #1 and look for new Flosstubers, because I like to see them start at their beginning and realize like, oh, most of them are nervous too. So that helped me just be like, okay, I can do this. Ironically enough, we actually have a YouTube channel that we no longer have going anymore. The videos are still there, but about our homestead and our farm life. So being on camera is not a new idea to me, but just sitting and talking is really scary. Because you're sharing about your stitching and stuff, but the thing I love about Flosstube videos more than anything, besides finding new patterns to try out, is hearing about people's stories and those relationships. So I'm like, oh, that means I'm sharing my story to some extent online, and a little more open and vulnerable. So that's something, kind of a goal as my big turning 30 is just like, okay, let's just be real and open and have fun with it. So anyway, there you go. So we're in the process to adopt again, and so you'll hear about that, I'm sure, as the months go on. I don't know how frequently I'm going to post because life is busy with a 2.5-year-old, but it's a happy busy. So I'm hoping maybe I'll post once a month, but we'll see what happens. So I'll keep you updated as those things go on, if I can keep this going. But so let's get into stitching. I think I'm mostly going to focus on cross stitch. I might share a book review or two at the end of some of my videos, because something I love to do while I'm stitching is either watch other stitchers, catch up on a couple other YouTube channels I enjoy, or listen to audiobooks. And we listen to audiobooks almost all day long every day, just because my son seems to enjoy hearing them in the background. I love to gain new content, whether it's fictional or this year I'm learning to kind of branch into non-fictional. So anyway, lots of rambling, but I may share some book reviews at the end of videos. So heads up, if you're not interested in that, you can of course just skip whatever. But I have a couple of finishes. There's one that's kind of an FFO, and if I say the wrong stitching language, tell me in the comments, because I'm still like googling, oh, what's this acronym, what's this acronym. There are so many acronyms in the stitching world, but I've been learning them. So I have one fully finished. I'm still debating actually taking it out of this frame and putting it in something else. Something you'll learn about me really quick is I am very much about doing my stitching on a budget. That's where I am in this season of life. So I thrift for frames and I thrift for materials sometimes, or if I find floss or whatever. I am not against or above using thrifted supplies. So anyway, I found this frame for like, I don't know, 50 cents or $1 at my local thrift store. And this is my first full finish, besides the little sock monkey. And this is my own pattern. We went to Prince Edward Island, which is about 5.5 hours from where we live in Nova Scotia, this summer to spread my Nana's ashes. And even though I grew up in the US, my ancestry on my Nana's side is from the Maritimes. So I kind of came back to my roots, and I didn't know I was coming back. I later learned when we started digging into some genealogy and stuff, realized like I am part Acadian French. So we spread her ashes there, and this is not a real lighthouse on Prince Edward Island. I was just inspired. After we spread her ashes, my uncle left and I was there with my husband and our son, and we just needed kind of to breathe. It's a very intense emotional thing. And so we went to Cavendish, which was a little ways from where we were staying, and we drove there for sunset and walked. And if you've ever been to Prince Edward Island, the beaches are varied, but there's a lot of red sand, red clay, and it is beautiful. It is the most stunning place I've probably ever been to personally. Like, I mean, we're all biased on what we think is the most beautiful, but like, it's breathtaking. So I really wanted to include the red sand in there. And we spent the evening just walking, and it was just so nice just to decompress. A lot of feelings, but it was a beautiful sunset, and there was this place that had all these rocks that, I don't know if someone brought them all to one place or what, but you could build these things. I think they're called nookshuks. I'll have to look it up. I'll put it here on the screen when I can remember what it's called. So we built like these towers of rocks, and I'll share a picture because they're just, it's rocks, but they're beautiful. So this pattern actually came from, I was trying to design a pattern that showed off those rock structures that people build, and there's just a whole group of them that when people come there, they build these rock structures. So my goal was to build, or to create a pattern that showed those rock structures on the red sand with the sunset. And it just wasn't coming together, and it was my first time designing really, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna let this be, but then all of a sudden this one kind of came out of my brain. So it was a lot of fun to stitch this. There are some mistakes in my own pattern, and then I was actually showing my friend Darlene a picture of the finished project, and I was like, oh, the light in the lighthouse was not stitched in. And we were laughing about, like, when she was saying, you know, you look back and you always end up seeing like, oh, that X wasn't finished, or you know, you realize you missed something afterwards. So I did go back and stitch in the light for the lighthouse after I realized that. So that's my first full finish. I'm really excited about that. And then this is a pattern by my friend Darlene. She put this out, like 95% sure it was a freebie, just as kind of like a supporting Ukraine pattern. So it's so cute, and I had it like 90% done, and I ran out of yellow, and I didn't know what color yellow I was using because I was just using that stash. So I color matched as best I can. I don't think it's noticeable that it's probably technically two different yellows, but so I think I'm going to finish this as some kind of little ornament. I love to put stitching in little hoops and finish them right into the hoop where they stay there. So we have some Ukrainian friends, and I think I'm going to finish this up and give this to them as a gift for Christmas. So stay tuned, we'll see how I end up finishing that. So those are my finishes. I have a couple of whips on the go. So this one was, someone asked me to finish this for them because they were unable to continue stitching. And so this is probably my largest one to date. And this is called, let me see if I have the name in front of me. This is a Jan Lin. Yeah, Jan Lin. It's a Design Works Crafts. It's on 14 count. No, actually it's not on the original, is it? Yes, it is. Okay, it's on, sorry, 14 count 8 of fabric. So I am using the floss that the kit came with. This was one of those kits that I think Walmart in the US sells them. And so I am really close to finish. There's some more stitching that has to be done in the sky up here. It did have a little stain on the material when they gave it to me, so I thought about even stitching a little dark over that just to cover it up, but I'm also just like, that's real life. It is not ironed, so you can probably tell that. I have some more back stitching still to do, but I'm almost done. There's a little bit left, I think, in the grass, but pretty much just a little bit left in the sky, and this will be finished. And I have yet to decide what I'm going to do with it, whether I'm going to gift it or if I'm going to reframe it, or I'm not sure. Give it back to the original person. We'll see. So that is, this is what got me back into stitching after that big lull, because when our son came home, I wasn't spending any time doing any kind of hobbies. But now I am finding this stitching is like my favorite way to like relax. My husband and I will watch TV in the evening, and I'll usually stitch for a while at night, sometimes during nap time, depending on whether or not my dishes are done and everything else. But yeah, so I've enjoyed that one. It's one of those that it kind of feels now it's like a labor of love. It's just like, I'm just done with it because I don't love back stitching. I like back stitching small amounts of things, but not, yeah, there's a lot of back stitching in here. But anyway, so that is a whip that I have currently going. And then, so when I was in the States for my sister's wedding, I picked up a couple of kits, and I'll show you another one that I haven't even started yet. But this, oh, I guess I have one other finish. So here's my disorganization. So this is a stitch I started while I was actually down for her wedding, and I thought it was so cute. He again is, he's probably a Dimensions or Bucilla pattern. I think I stitched him in a couple of days. But I just thought he was adorable. So he lives on my little gallery wall here in my kitchen. So I stitched him. So I guess I do have that finished, or fully finished. But so I got this pattern when I was down for her wedding, and one of my goals is like, I'm here for everything wedding, but I want to go to Hobby Lobby, because we do not have Hobby Lobby, definitely not Nova Scotia. I don't think we have it in Canada. I'll have to look that up. I don't think so. My best friend back in the States works at a Hobby Lobby, and so I can't imagine working at Hobby Lobby because I would probably buy every craft supply ever. But I was super excited, and I know my brother's not going to watch this, but shout out to my brother David for being so patient with me as we walked through the aisles so I could peruse every possible cross stitch accessory and kit. But I found this kit. The brand is Bucilla. I don't think it's DMC floss or anything like that, but it's on 14 count Aida cloth. And I just thought it was so cute. I loved the bee. I love how realistic the bee looked. I find some stitchers have like a really defined style that they go towards, like for the kind of patterns they pick or make, or both. And so far I'm kind of all over the place. Like I love a good cross stitch of a character that looks cartoonish, but I also love the realistic looking ones too. And I just found this bee is beautiful. So I've gotten this far so far. I do work in a hoop right now. Let me know down below in the comments. I would love to know your thoughts on whether you stitch in one of those frames that sits on the floor, or one of those wooden frames that holds your hoop for you, or if you use those cannot think what they're called. You guys know what I'm talking about, I'm sure. Those things that click on and hold your work. So being new to the flossing world, oh my goodness, being new to the cross stitch world, and coming from embroidery, because I used to do embroidery a lot, I just automatically went to embroidery hoops, and I had a whole stash of them. So anyway, I thought this bee was just beautiful, but I would love to know how you work on your stitching. Do you do a hoop, or what do you do? So I thought he was so cute. And this one is a mixture of cross stitch and embroidery, because it has you doing some daisies and sunflowers that are definitely not cross stitch. So I was surprised, even though this is listed as like a counted cross stitch, there's definitely embroidery in there. And I just saw the pattern, picked up, thought it was so cute. But it's okay, because I actually really enjoy embroidery as well. I haven't done it in a while, so yeah, I'm really excited with that one. Okay, and then so I have a pattern by my friend Darlene. Oh my goodness, I got all organized and wrote my notes and did not write down the name of this pattern, so I will put it on the screen. My guess is it's called Happy Harvest, but I'm not sure, so I'll put it out. So I just absolutely love pumpkins. I love fall. it's probably has something to do with my birthday being at the beginning of September, and birthdays are a big deal in my home, and growing up they were. It probably has something to do with that, because in my head, September 1st is fall, and I know that's not the calendar, and those diehard summer fans will definitely fight you on that, and that's okay. But I am team autumn all the way. Like, I've been drinking pumpkin spice iced coffee for 2 weeks now, week and a half, I don't know. I've already had 3 or 4, so anytime we go to town, I usually end up picking up one from Timmy's. But yeah, so I just think it's so cute. I did switch out. I did not have the called for floss in the middle pumpkin to do the little heart. It's a different color if I remember right. So I just used the floss color I had for the bottom pumpkin. And then I haven't finished the stitching all the way around yet, so that's left. And then there's just a little green curly thing that's left to put on here. It's such a fun little stitch. The color blocking is fun, and so you know, it's not like a tiring stitch like some of my other projects. So I really am enjoying this one. So it's almost finished. I haven't decided what I'm gonna do. I don't know if I'm gonna turn into a cross stitcher that makes little pillows, because I hate sewing. And I know most stitchers love to sew, it seems like, from when I watch their Flosstubes, but I don't like sewing. And maybe I just need to learn, because I've inherited all of my Nana's sewing stuff, and that's coming soon. So maybe I need to learn. So I haven't really decided how I'm gonna finish it yet. I love gallery walls, and we have plans eventually to renovate our living room, and there's going to be plenty of space for gallery walls. And I know it's probably against some interior design rule, but I'm not against having multiple gallery walls in a space. So lots of room for my stitching. I think it was the Contented Stitcher, who her craft room, or her needle room, I'm not sure what she calls it, is gorgeous. Like, every inch of that space is almost covered in stitching. And I couldn't believe it. There's gotta be years and years and years of stitching in there. So who knows, maybe one day my guest room will just be decked out in all the needlework, and people can come and just, if they can't sleep at night, they can look at all the stitching on the walls. So I have one other whip that I have going right now. This is 25 count vintage Mocha Lugana. So I had mostly just been stitching on Aida, because I found a whack ton of Aida at our local thrift shop, and so that's all I knew that existed. And then I started watching Flosstubers, and like really watching a lot of Flosstubers. Like, usually my husband's falling asleep and I'm watching another Flosstuber, and but so I started realizing, oh my goodness, there's a whole world of supplies out there for cross stitch I did not even know about. So this was my second project, the lighthouse that I designed and did. That one's also on the Vintage Country Mocha. So this is my second project, and it is almost done. And one of my goals with cross stitching is to put more scripture and more lines from quotes or songs that I find really encouraging into my home. And for me, I'm not a minimalist, but I am a practicalist. I don't know, there's probably not an actual word for it. But basically, like, I try when I create something, it's either for a gift for someone or it's for practical, like I want to decorate my home with it. And so, like, because I hate the idea of just stitching it and it's sitting in the closet for years. So I want to finish them. So I was like, well, what do I really want to stitch and put in my house? And there's like a million beautiful designs out there, and I have lists that I'm saving them. But I was like, when I design my own, I want to create some that are like really encouraging. And It Is Well With My Soul is one of my absolute favorite, probably is my favorite song. And it has been a theme through years of our infertility and through loss of several friends over the years. Just that realization, if you're a Christian, that realization of no matter what happens on earth, no matter what doesn't go my way or doesn't go the way I think or expect or hope for, I have that hope of eternity with Christ. So I know that it's well with my soul. So that was the inspiration behind this. That is a song I love to listen to, and I love thinking about that line. So looking forward to heaven and to eternity. It is well with my soul, no matter what happens here. So that is the inspiration behind this design. This is a scrap of fabric. I am down to the very last of my Lugana, and I am planning on purchasing some more. We'll see what happens this afternoon, how long my son naps for. But I am planning on purchasing more fabric to start, because I have some more projects. I just bought new patterns. So I wanted to use the scraps, and that's another thing. Maybe I should have called myself the scrappy stitcher. But I love using up scraps of things. I hate seeing things go to waste. So I was like, that's not really a lot of margins to give myself, but I knew, because I made the pattern, I knew how much space it needed itself. So I was like, okay, I think that will be enough to finish. And I was okay. I am totally still okay. I'm gonna cut off this orange part here, but I was okay if it's framed a little differently, like not as perfect looking, like kind of finished to where you see this kind of edging. So I'm still up in the air. So I have some haul, not much, but I have a little bit of haul that I'll show you kind of my idea. I'm thinking to frame this in. I think it was the Contented Stitcher as well, who was saying that she doesn't use glass in her framing, and I just love the way when she did the tour of her craft room. I love that there wasn't like glares from glass in the frames. So like, because I already dislike how I framed my lighthouse one with the glare on it. So we'll see. So this is my last whip that I have going right now. It's almost finished. There's just a little bit of stitching to do here on the border. I just loved the lacy look as it was coming together. It made me so excited. So just a little bit of that left. And then there's actually 2 more colors that I am debating putting into this pattern. They are in the pattern currently, how I've designed it, because there's some finishing of these little detailing here. And then there's these little symbols that go at the end of each lace bobbin. So I'm torn, because I actually love the all one color look. I like sit and look at long dog samplers and just drool. So I love that look of just one color. But I have these kind of 2 pinky colors. If you're following me on Instagram, there's a picture on there with all 3 of the colors I picked. So I think what I'm gonna do is finish the stitching here, of course, in the blue, and then I'm gonna test out a corner with some of those little doodads in the pinks and see, do I really like it, or do I want to just finish it off in the blue? So stay tuned for that one. And I, like I said, am a total newbie with pattern designing, but I do have an Etsy shop for my vintage stuff. So I have the lighthouse pattern in there currently, and in the future this one will show up in there at some point when it's finished and whatever color choices are finalized. So that is my whips. Let's see. Oh, projects I'm starting. Well, I guess I'll show you my haul first, because it kind of goes hand in hand. So this is the frame that I got for the It As Well. So it's just a frame from Walmart. Usually I would not buy a brand new frame. I would just, for anything, I would just go to the thrift store. But I've been hunting at the thrift store and did not find anything that worked. And I really wanted to get this on my wall. So I think what I'm thinking of here is this, something like this. And my husband is a carpenter, and I was telling him, I was like, I know you could build this, but you know, there's always that like balance of like, yes, I can make it, but do I have the time? Because life is busy. And then he told me he could have made this in like 30 minutes. So I may return it still. I got the receipt. I may return it still. But I don't know. I'm thinking something like that. And what I was meaning by kind of finishing it, not raggedy, but a little more rustic, is actually leaving kind of the frayed edges. And I don't know how I would attach it to this. I like the white behind, but it looks too stark in comparison with the Country Mocha. So I'm kind of thinking I could use like some stamping ink or something to darken the white and then attach this somehow. I also felt like I could totally just paint that white. Or this backing probably could just pop out and flip it, or put another wood back in there. So that's some ideas I had. I may end up returning it and have my husband make me a new frame. But again, time, so we'll see. But I really love it in the wood frame, and my goal is for that, I think might go in my washroom, or for my American or anybody else friends who don't call it a washroom, bathroom. Okay, so I was editing my Flosstube video and realized that it stopped filming far earlier than I realized it had, and then I started a new clip, but it cut out a big chunk of what I was saying. So I just wanted to show the last two things I got in my haul, and these are also going to be future stitches, which I'm really excited about. This is Forest and Lake, and I'm realizing as I'm editing that my light is super washed out and I've got to figure out how to fix that. So I'll show it to you here, but it's probably a little too washed out to see, but I will put a picture up here of it just so it's clear. So this is a pattern that I've had in my Etsy cart for months and been wanting to stitch, and it's by an Etsy account called Laser Arts Designs. I just love that it literally looks like a watercolor, but it's cross stitch. So I'm really excited to stitch that. I don't think I'm going to stitch it. It's on a white background, so it's like super hard to see. But I'm thinking I'm going to stitch a little bit darker on a little bit darker fabric. So I still have to go on to 1, 2, 3 stitch and pick which one I'm going to stitch this on. But I'm excited to stitch this one. I've been looking at it for months and I finally broke down and bought it. So then I have one other pattern that I purchased. Gosh, I purchased these like yesterday or the day before. This one is, I was super excited about. Again, I don't know that that's going to be clear enough. Let's see. Here we go. That might be clear enough to see. It's called Autumn Glow, and it's by Little Dove Designs. And this is a four part series of patterns. So she has the autumn glows, and then she has one for winter, spring, and summer as well. And like I said, I am like a pumpkin head. I absolutely love fall, and so I'm really excited to start stitching on this one. I didn't get any of the materials in time for my birthday, but this is going to be my birthday start. I'm going to order the supplies this afternoon, depending on how long my son naps for, if I have the time to get that done. So this is going to be my fall stitch. I am not a seasonal stitcher, I don't think, but if it comes to autumn, I'm a seasonal stitcher. I'll stitch the season of autumn all year long. So I'm really, really excited about that pattern. And I would like to eventually do the whole set, but I'm going to start with this autumn one. I particularly love the little animals in it. There's like a little fox and a little owl in there. And then I actually really like the border of it too. So that's the rest of my haul. And then this is a pattern that, so I sell vintage online and I started thrifting 2 years ago now, I think. Just really for fun, like just something to get me out of the house, because we live a little bit outside of town, and my husband was like, I'm gonna play soccer and get out with people and stuff. He's like, you should do something and get out of the house. And I was like, oh yeah, probably should. Because I'm actually not an introvert, but maybe more and more as I get a little bit older, I am becoming a little more introverted. But I thrift vintage and resell it just because it's fun, and I like to research the pieces I find. And I was not a cross stitcher when I found this, but this is a again, I gotta figure out the lighting in here, but I'll put a picture up for you to see it better. This is Norman Rockwell is the designer. It's replications of his paintings but in cross stitch form, and it's by Gloria and Pat. And I have no idea, this has got to have been produced a couple decades ago, I would imagine. I don't see the year on here when they produced this booklet. The paper and the look of it feels like it's at least 1980s, if not a bit longer. So regardless, I got it because it was cute and vintage, and I love Norman Rockwell. When I was a kid, for a short time at our co-op, we studied different artists and their paintings. And when I saw Norman Rockwell, I was like, I love it! There was this weird little 12-year-old that was like, I love Norman Rockwell! Like, what 12-year-old even knows who Norman Rockwell is? But anyway, it has this adorable design of the little girl and boy walking along the fence line with their dog. And then on the back, I'll put a picture right here so you can see it, one of the sides of the screen. It has a couple other designs. This booklet has 4. And there's 2 or 3 of them that I really for sure want to stitch. One of them, not so much. but at least the one where they're here on the swing, and then the one of them walking, and then the one of them about to kiss is really cute as well. So that is old haul. Like, I bought it forever ago, not intending to ever stitch it, and I never could sell it. I just loved it. So I'm really excited to actually stitch it. So I'm not starting that anytime soon, but that is haul that I have at some point. Watch, I'll say that and you'll see next month I'll have started stitching one of them. So that is all of my haul. I did want to mention a couple of Flosstubers that I really enjoy. I have been like branching out and watching, I'd say I've watched probably 10 new Flosstubers in the last week to 2 weeks, like really loving just seeing how different people's taste is and different patterns they pick and the different styles, how people, how they source their supplies, whether they're more into like the freebies or if they like buy kitted that they buy at a place. I keep hearing about this place called The Attic. Like, I have no idea where that is, but I actually really want to go there now because I hear there's all these patterns there. But then like there's like people who like almost only stitch from Etsy. So it's really interesting to see the styles and where people source the patterns that they're stitching. And so yeah, it's been a lot of fun just to watch that. I have a couple of favorites that I've discovered. So of course my friend's channel I've mentioned already, Darlene Dion Designs. I just always enjoy seeing what she's stitching, and I really enjoy her patterns that she creates. So I've stitched one completely, the little Ukrainian quilt square one, and then I'm working on the pumpkin one, and I really enjoy her designs, and I just enjoy hearing what she's doing and hearing what pattern she's stitching to. And then I just found this one last night. Really enjoyed I don't know, really enjoyed her channel. She's really easy to listen to. And her channel is called Microbiologist Makes. And I really like the patterns that she's working on. Like, you know, everyone has their own style of what they like to stitch. And I'm like, oh, I want to do that one. Oh, I want to do that one. Oh, so really enjoy your channel if you ever see this. So she's really fun. You should check her out. And then So Tattered, I just found her. And I've really enjoyed watching her a couple of videos that she's already got up. So that was fun to watch her, and I am so impressed by like the larger needlework pieces that she's shown. You guys that do those really big samplers and the long dog samplers especially, like I am just so amazed, and I want to do those one day. And then the last one that I've been watching, and they were cracking me up the other day. I was sitting there winding floss bobbins, and Brenda and the Serial Stitcher, they're a hoot. They're fun to watch, so go watch them. And you may know all of these already. I am definitely a noob finding all these Flosstubers that, you know, they've been around for a while, but they are so fun. So I would love to know if you have suggestions of who I should watch and who I should check out. I enjoy seeing the haul that people get and seeing what people are working on. And I really enjoy seeing how people finish their projects, because that's a new concept of not just sticking it in a frame, but there are other ways to finish them. So anyway, that is kind of my whole Flosstube for today. I did want to share a little note. I know not everyone is a Christian, and not everyone has any kind of religion maybe, so I totally respect that. So feel free to click off here if you don't want to see this. But there is a book called Every Moment Holy, which is prayers, and or you might know them as liturgies. And there was one for birthdays, and I absolutely love it. It was just, it's a really good way to reflect on different situations and occasions these different prayers are listed for. So anyway, I wanted to read you a little paragraph of one that I thought, even if you don't love turning a year older, or don't love your birthday, or aren't excited and inspired by it, start a whole Flosstube channel like I was today, it might be an encouragement to you if you're coming up on a birthday, or just in how we think about growing older. So I want to read that to you. So this is just a little paragraph of it, but I thought it was beautiful and an encouraging way to think about growing a year older. So this is just the last little paragraph. It says, "May they invest their moments well in the coming year and in all years to follow, living life always with the end in view, in pursuit of that eternal prize that will allow them to look ever with gladness and never with regret upon the passing of their years, as each subsequent birthday will be but the marking of a step nearer to the final fulfillment of all they have so long hoped and labored for. And I just thought that was a beautiful way to think about a birthday and think about growing older, and life is fragile and life is precious. And so we can joke about, oh, I'm a year older, or oh, I'm holding at this age and I'm not getting any older. But I think too, it can be a beautiful way to think like growing older is a gift, and not everyone gets that gift. And so it's actually something to celebrate and rejoice in the fact that we have another year of life, and that we are 1 year closer to an eternity with Christ. So yeah, I just wanted to share that. I'm trying to live my life purposefully, and if I'm going to spend time putting content out there, as much as it is fun and just to talk about stitching, I also want there to be a heartbeat behind it, which is our focus on the gospel and our focus on eternity with Christ. So I'll try to save those pieces towards the end of my stitching videos. Like I said, I respect that not everyone believes the same thing, and want you to still be able to enjoy my Flosstube if I'm not too chatty for you, even if that's not your thing. So those will be at the end of my videos. But yeah, I hope you have a wonderful week and enjoy your stitching, and would love to know where you're watching from or how you found my little channel. So yeah, you can also follow me on Instagram at the Rocking Chair Stitcher, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Happy autumn. Bye.